will destroy your spirit and your will to live. It did mine. Thank you.
It was my 17th birthday. I missed school that day and my friend drove me to the hospital. I was admitted and put into a ward with other young ladies who were waiting for their abortions. Later, I was wheeled into the operating room and put under general anesthetic. I woke up bleeding, in pain, nauseated, and had a very large telltale bruise where the IV had been. Late that afternoon, I was released. My friend picked me up to drive me home. We arrived at my home to my 17th birthday party. My whole family was there. I hid my hand to avoid any questions about the bruise. No one knew that night, as they celebrated the day I was born, that I had taken the life of my first child. It didn't end here. I had 2 more abortions after this. Abortion appeared to be the easy way out. I could get on with my life. I viewed it as a solution to a problem. However, what seemed like the easy way out became a double-edged sword of negative physical and emotional consequences. Abortion isn't a safe procedure. It is a surgery with risks. I experienced hemorrhaging, intense cramping, infection, and fever. There are many other risks and complications to abortion. Emotionally, I suffered from deep depressions, breakups with boyfriends, guilt, shame, anger, fear, and a sense of enduring worthlessness. When I did have a child, I found that it was difficult to fully bond with her for quite some time, and I also experienced sexual problems in my marriage. What looked like the easy way out on the outside led to my destruction on the inside. What I thought was the best choice at the time, in reality, it was the worst. There's a way that seems right to men, but in the end it leads only to death. Abortion for me was a secret sin that kept me in bondage to a cycle of sexual sin. I started on the road to healing by taking the first step of repentance by God's grace, and through God's strength by breaking the cycle of promiscuity and abortion, and by receiving God's complete forgiveness, mercy, and grace. By recognizing abortion as a loss of life, and by being able to grieve these profound losses caused by my own selfish choices, I was restored emotionally by going through a post-abortion Bible study and set free from guilt and shame by God's abundant grace. Through restitution, God has given me opportunity to help take other women who have been hurt by abortion through a post-abortion Bible study, because it is only in God that hope is given and healing is found. And I also want to be silent no more. I was driving one day and listening to a pastor on the radio, and he said something that really touched my heart. He said, there is more grace in God's heart than there is sin in your past. Thank you.
It was about 21 years ago that I had an abortion. I was raped, and I can honestly tell you that I regret my abortion. The man that raped me was somebody I knew. A few weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. I felt like I wanted to die because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. So I called my mom, who was living in Los Angeles at the time, and I told her I wanted to come see her. So she sent me the ticket to come to America. I decided not to tell my mom the news about my pregnancy, but my sister figured it out because she saw me throwing up. So one cold morning, my mom stormed me into the room and told me to get ready. She screamed many things at me, but she specifically said, I have talked to many people, and they say that there's nothing inside. I'm taking you to an abortion clinic. I cried when the nurse took me away to the operating room. I didn't know what to do. I was in a strange country, didn't speak the language, and didn't know where to turn. They put me to sleep, so I didn't feel anything. 2 weeks later, when I came back to the abortion clinic, the nurse told me I had a baby boy. It was then that I realized that what my mom had said was a lie. I had killed a real baby. Living my life with this kind of guilt has not been easy. I blame myself 100% for what happened, even the rape. And at one time I considered suicide. I wish I would have had a choice. I wish I would have given my baby up for adoption. I wish I would have given my baby a chance to live. I was left with no hope, no dreams, no future. Just September 2003, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. The type of cancer I have is not related to my genes or my hormones. I wonder if the research that has been done to relate breast cancer to abortion is true in my case. Years ago, I talked to my mom about this abortion. She cried and she said to me, "I thought you forgot about it." I can honestly tell you today, that's the only thing in life I would never forget it happened. Today, I'm standing here because I know that God has forgiven me, and I've been able to forgive myself and forgive those that hurt me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Barbara. I'm from Boise, Idaho. The year was 1985. I was 17 years old and I had just graduated from high school. I had hopes and dreams to go on to college with a scholarship, to go to med school, pre-med and pre-med medical school. And I just had this incredible hope for the future. Then one day I found out that I was pregnant. After really just thinking it over and looking at what I thought were all the options, I decided to have my baby. I didn't think my boyfriend would have a problem with it, but to my surprise, the day that I told him, all of that came crashing down. He could not believe that I would even consider having the child. After, going through the discussion with him, and also after my father, who loved his daughter very much and knew that she had all these hopes and dreams, he convinced me and my boyfriend that abortion was my best choice. So my mom one day drove me to the abortion clinic. And I can tell you, for several months after that, I can't recall a single day. But that day is so vivid in my mind that I will never forget it. I laid on the table. And I can tell you, the nurse, she had blonde hair, white lab coat. The doctor, gray hair, gray beard, white lab coat. And I laid there and I was shaking. And I started to cry. And I looked at the nurse and I said, "I don't want to do this. I've changed my mind." The doctor got annoyed with me. He said, "Oh, that's normal. You'll get over it." And then he said, "It's too late." And we know that that's a lie now. It wasn't too late. After that, I fell into this incredible despair. I stepped into the abyss. I turned to drugs. I turned to alcohol to try to mask the pain that I was feeling and to escape from this incredible grief, because the day that I killed my daughter, I also killed myself. That day, a part of me died. My innocence and my hope was gone. It took me 18 years to come to a place where I understood what my abortion had done to me. It took 2 marriages, because I married twice, not because I was in love and I thought that I would be there for the rest of my life, but because I was trying to fill this incredible emptiness within me. I was looking for a way, as so many women do, to make my life make sense somehow, to make it better, because I didn't know why I felt the way I did. I didn't know why my life was so different than I had ever imagined it would be. I just knew that deep down that something was incredibly wrong. I've been blessed with 4 wonderful, beautiful children. Absolutely wonderful. My son is here tonight to witness this, and he now stands for life. But I can tell you, after having 2 boys, I thought I was done. As I approached my 30s, I began to yearn to have a daughter as well. But I remember thinking within myself that I would never have a daughter because I had killed the one that I was given originally. And I remember when I became pregnant with my 3rd child after having a miscarriage, I remember praying with all my heart and soul that God would grant me the grace of a daughter. But deep within, I didn't feel that he would, because I was waiting for that incredible punishment. I was waiting to be punished, for him to say, no, you'll never have a daughter because you killed the one that I gave you. But by the grace of God, he not only gave me one, he gave me two. And now I have two beautiful girls. In May of 2003, May 10th to be exact, Mother's Day weekend, I attended the first Rachel's Vineyard retreat that was held in our state. I went as a helper, because when I saw the announcement looking for volunteers, I thought somehow in my head that I could help because I had had an abortion. But this was coming from a woman that had never admitted publicly or to anyone that she'd had an abortion. So God got me there in the guise of being a helper. And I can tell you that weekend changed my life. By the grace of God, I came to know Christ once again in my life. The separation for 18 years that I had had from God was mended and bridged. And I learned that Christ truly does forgive each and every one of us. And he just is calling us back. He wants his daughters back. He wants his sons back. And he's letting us know that now is the time. We need to be silent no more.
My story was one of a young girl that I was engaged and I became pregnant, and I was thrilled. I was so excited. And the father of my baby not only did not want that baby, but he harassed me and pressed me and pushed me. Now, my case was this. I could have afforded the baby, but I didn't get the emotional support of the dad. I went to my doctor, I went to my mom and dad and for help. And they told me the lie from the pit of hell, which is the same lie that is told today, that that baby under 3 months gestation was just a blob of tissue. That if the father didn't want it, I could always have another baby. It wasn't even a baby. Now, my parents have changed their mind in the advent of ultrasound. When I would show them working in these campaigns, my parents lived with me, and it just melted my heart that they finally turned to me and said, Jen, if we had known, we would have supported you. I folded. I was responsible for that abortion, but it wasn't a choice I wanted, but I was responsible. So I beat myself up for years. I had self-loathing, low self-esteem. How many ladies have experienced this? That no matter what anybody says, you feel in your heart and your soul there's something wrong. It's a part of you. Well, the fact is that that baby has a different DNA from the day of conception, and it is a baby. Now, here's what we need to do for those of us who have suffered abortion, and not just women, but men as well, that are sorry for that. That there is healing and grace through Jesus Christ. That's the fact. There is healing. And when we go forward, not in silence, not in shame, because silence and secrecy, if abortion's such a nifty idea, why is it such a secret? And so when we go forward and we admit it, and put it out in the light, and through the power of God we are healed, then we become billboards of Silent No More to tell the truth to those who are considering abortions, to be effective in our lives, not crippled anymore from the shame that we have done in our life, and realize that we are forgiven. We can pass on the truth to those and offer them assistance emotionally, financially, physically, spiritually, mentally, anything that they need, so that they really and truly finally have a choice. And 80% of those that go in thinking about abortion and see an ultrasound, 80% change their mind for life. So we need to embrace them, not condemn them, lift them up, and help this society, because in God's eyes, this is who we are, and we need to answer to those issues. I know that there are so many people that need to speak tonight. Again, I want to thank you, but I want to tell you that there is life after abortion. For those who had the abortion, I believe in my heart that we will all see our babies in heaven, and that this must stop morally. Thank you so much.
When I found out I was pregnant, I thought I would lose my job.
My boyfriend told me to choose between him and the baby.
I was already struggling to care for one child, so I had an abortion.
I had trouble conceiving again.
I tried to commit suicide.
I started to have nightmares.
You see, abortion didn't solve our problems.
It just created different ones.
That's why we are Silent No More.
We found help and healing, and you can too. Call or go online today.
When I found out I was pregnant, I worried about staying in school.
My boyfriend told me to choose between him and the baby.
My parents told me I wasn't ready to be a mom, so I had an abortion.
I had physical problems afterwards.
I hated myself.
I struggled with depression.
You see, abortion didn't solve our problems.
It just created different ones.
That's why we are silent no more.
We found help and healing, and you can too. Call or go online today.
When I found out I was pregnant, I thought I would lose my job.
My boyfriend told me to choose between him and the baby.
I worried about staying in school.
I was already struggling to care for one child.
My parents told me I wasn't ready to be a mom, so I had an abortion.
I had physical problems afterwards.
I went from relationship to relationship.
I hated myself.
I started to have nightmares.
I cried when I saw a pregnant woman.
I tried to commit suicide.
I couldn't bond with the child I later had.
I tried to numb my pain with alcohol.
I struggled with depression.
I had trouble conceiving again.
You see, abortion didn't solve our problems.
It just created different ones.
Each of us thought we were the only ones struggling afterward.
Now we realize many women regret their choice.
That's why we are silent no more.
We found help and healing, and you can too. Call or go online today.
There is only one decision I regret, and it is abortion.
I had an abortion, and it was something I regret to this day.
In 1973, women gathered in front of the U.S. Supreme Court to say they would be silent no more because their sisters were dying from illegal abortions. In 2003, women gathered again at the Supreme Court. This time they said they would be silent no more because legal abortion had caused them emotional, physical, and spiritual problems, and women are still dying. This personal perspective of abortion is the missing voice in the abortion debate, and it was the catalyst behind the development of the Silent No More awareness campaign.
I realized there was this group thing going on, this quiet thing that was happening where all of us were hurting, but nobody was talking about it. And as I would hold women and they would cry in my arms and we'd comfort one another, I would think, this has got to end. We've got to do better for women. Abortion is not a solution.
The Silent No More awareness campaign started out with women throughout the United States sharing their personal abortion experience, and it has quickly grown to include women from around the world who also know the painful after effects of abortion and want to be silent no more.
Very often people listen to the National Organization of Women and they claim to speak for women. Well, we're here to provide a different voice. We're here to say that they are not speaking for all women, and all women do not think that abortion is a great thing. And these are women who've actually experienced abortion, and they want to make a statement here. Our goal is to make abortion unthinkable, an unthinkable choice for any woman that is pregnant.
As the co-founders developed the campaign to raise awareness, similar to the AIDS and breast cancer awareness campaigns, they saw the benefit of having a celebrity spokesperson to personify the reality of their message. Graciously, actress, CoverGirl model, and author Jennifer O'Neill agreed to share her own experience and put a voice to the reality of choice.
My story was one of a young girl that I was engaged and I became pregnant, and I was thrilled. I was so excited. And the father of my baby not only did not want that baby, but he harassed me and pressed me and pushed me. I folded. I was responsible for that abortion. But it wasn't a choice I wanted, but I was responsible. So I beat myself up for years. I had self-loathing, low self-esteem. You feel in your heart and your soul there's something wrong.
In addition, Dr. Alveda King, niece of Dr. Martin Luther King, joined us in being silent no more.
The daddy didn't want it. He was making threats. That still wasn't reason enough. But Roe versus Wade had just passed, and my medical insurance paid for it, and that was real crazy now that I think back on it. But right after I did it, I began to wonder, did the baby feel it? Did it hurt? Was it a boy? Was it a girl?
More than 1 million abortions occur each year, making it the most common female surgical procedure done annually in the United States. The choice to have an abortion was created to allow each woman reproductive freedom. However, during the campaign gatherings, women share the reality of why we chose abortion.
Everybody had told me that it was the only thing that I could do as a 16-year-old girl facing a crisis pregnancy. They wouldn't let me see my ultrasound.
My mom said an abortion would be the best thing. The best thing for who? Not my baby, not me. She said it would end the pain I was in. Abortion did not end my pain, it began it.
I was in a dysfunctional, abusive marriage. I was abusing cocaine, alcohol, and methamphetamines. I tell you this not to excuse what I did, but because the abortion industry would have you believe that any one of those things I just mentioned was an ideal reason to kill my child, and that's what I heard.
My husband said we couldn't afford another baby. When I refused to have an abortion, he threatened to leave us. I'd never seen him so angry. I knew he meant it.
My mother forced me to have an abortion at the age of 15. She did not want me to ruin my life as having me had ruined hers.
When I told my husband, he became very angry and said he couldn't handle anymore.
I decided to have my baby. I didn't think my boyfriend would have a problem with it, but to my surprise, the day that I told him, all of that came crashing down. He could not believe that I would even consider having the child. After, going through the discussion with him, and also after my father, who loved his daughter very much and knew that she had all these hopes and dreams, he convinced me and my boyfriend that abortion was my best choice.
While friends and family see abortion as a simple solution to an unintended pregnancy, we are rarely encouraged to talk about what happened during the actual abortion procedure and how we felt about it. But the truth must be told.
As I lay there and listened to the vacuum cleaner suction out my baby, not only did the baby die, but a part of me died.